What's up, everybody, and welcome to the pre-lock show for we're on the pre-lock show, TJ. We're not in the pick six here, I don't believe, but you do what you got to do, man. There you go. Pre-lock show for Showdowns Thursday. This is what kicks off the week. You know it's coming now. You get some Thursday NFL, little Friday college, Saturday college, Sunday NFL, Monday NFL. It starts it all, man. So it's a really special show today. Squirrel's not with us, but we've got a replacement for him. All right, for the first time on the pre-lock show, we're going to bring in Davis Mattek. Davis, what's up, man?
Chop, man, I'm blessed to be here. You know, I pulled myself away from Texas State at Troy to be here and break down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm happy to do it. This is we got some classic decisions here. It kind of has everything I like in a showdown slate. Uncertain backfields. Wide receiver who's on the field all the time, but his price is so bad that he might actually be a good play. Kyle Pitts is involved. I mean, we got a little bit of everything going on here, Chop.
Yeah, and we're going to get to it. And as always, guys, it's an earlier start time, so hopefully, people start to trickle in. This is a chat-driven show. Get your questions in. We'll get to them all. We'll answer every single thing out there, so get them in the chat. Got my eye on the YouTube chat, but I do have a question for Davis, because there's probably not a week that goes by anymore. Used to be daily, but now there's not a week that goes by that I don't get a DM. And the same thing is the same thing from everybody. Is Davis Mattek still living the high life off of his 30K Tyler Hero when he left us holding the bag with Top Shots?
I mean, of course, I didn't, look, I never intended to leave anyone holding the bag with the Top Shots. The thing is, Chop, people do forget this, Chop. I reinvested not all of that, but I reinvested some of that into the Top Shot ecosystem. My mentor, Soccer Dave, I can't go anywhere, without Soccer Dave, trying to give me some helpful life advice. And he assured me that the Trey Young Series 1 moment, it was the Genesis moment. It was the first ever moment. I mean, it was going straight up. It was going straight up, brother. So I reinvested some of it, Chop.
I spent my whole 2020 salary on the Wildcat Challenge, man. I'm stuck with a bunch of $700 DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall. I don't know what I'm doing. Pathetic. We're good though. Listen. Water under the bridge. We've moved on from that. Nobody's still bitter about that or anything, but we got a good game tonight. It's a tight spread, a roughly 2.5, 3-point spread here. Atlanta, Tampa. It's an interesting game. We'll see how it plays out. But you look at the spread, you look at the teams. What's your initial thoughts on these two teams in general this year relative to what the expectations were coming into the year?
I mean, the crazy thing is basically, all these fantasy nerds, Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta. They hire Zach Robinson, who's the passing game coordinator for the Rams. And they're like, all right, we got Kirk Cousins. We got him with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, great pass catching running back. It's going to be wheels up, 38 pass attempts per game. Greatest show on turf. This is going to be like watching Matt Ryan with Kyle Shanahan calling the plays. And it has not been that. The Atlanta Falcons, last I checked, were 31 out of 32 in pass rate over expectation. They're bottom third in the league in play action passes, bottom third in the league in pre-snap motion. Now, why is that? Is it because that's not what Zach Robinson wants to do? Is it because Kirk Cousins can't move? Well, I don't know. I actually thought, and there's a couple spots like this week where the road team is favored against a good team. The Cowboys are road dogs to the Steelers. The Texans are road dogs or home dogs to the Bills. And I thought, I hadn't even looked at lines yet until this morning. I thought the Buccaneers would be favored in this game. I suppose that Denver loss is carrying a lot of water. I think the Buccaneers are probably the better team than the Falcons that can run the ball better. The defense, I guess, the Falcons defense is definitely better. But I got real questions about Kirk Cousins' Achilles, basically.
Yeah, he's not moving too well out there, man. It doesn't look like and it's a shame that I get the whole I don't mind drafting a quarterback and then letting a guy sit for a year. I don't mind that at all. Any other position, I'm like, if you're going to spend first round equity on him, he probably needs to play pretty quickly, but not the quarterback. But boy, that's a lot of guaranteed money. You can't really do nothing with Kirk Cousins and then to draft Penix. But boy, I tell you what, it just feels like there would be like an uptick in the offense if you put Penix back there. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. They know more than I do. But all right, guys, I'm seeing some questions. We're gonna get to them. Well, our Carolina guy, we always got to get his FanDuel question out of the way. I don't know if you looked at FanDuel today, but
Yeah.
do you have a large field favorite MVP on FanDuel where the scoring, you don't get penalized for
It's touchdowns. That's
Yeah.
a touchdown. It's a touchdown game. It's got to be Bucky Irving, where the field is drifting towards realizing that Bucky is going to be the lead rusher, but they're not going to be fully convinced. I think actually probably the thing that ends up being most likely is that Rachaad White is actually going to stay on all the passing downs. We're going to get him. I would imagine he plays all the 2-minute drill, all the long down and distance. But Bucky Irving will actually be, and it's funny because Bucky's the more explosive player, so you wouldn't think of it that way. But then Bucky Irving kind of becomes the Zeke, and Rachaad White is the Pollard in terms of like how they are deployed. And I've been saying this on all my shows this week. It's like I think this is going to be the last time in DFS that Bucky Irving is less expensive than Rachaad White. I think we're going to see that role switch tonight.
So if we're on FanDuel and we need the MVP, who is it for you?
If I could only have one, if I was building one team, it would definitely be Mike Evans.
Really?
They went away from him last week, and then he had the Surtain matchup the week before. So it's like, that stuff happened. I mean, he had Sauce Gardner last week. Or no, not Sauce Gardner. God, who did they play last week?
Philly. He had the rookie's pretty good out there in Philly.
Yeah. So basically, I think we're gonna see a lot of this with Tampa Bay. Is like if Godwin has a 9-catch game, then they're gonna go back to Evans the next week. And Atlanta's corners are actually pretty decent. Don't ask me to know their names because I don't know. I just know that from being out there in the environment. But I think at this kind of projected ownership, I mean, it feels 7% less than Cousins. I mean, Mike Evans, two touchdowns in this game seems pretty possible to me.
Now, there's going to be a lot more. I feel like there's a lot more steam on Chris Godwin given his start to the year. And then you talked about, the vague cornerback, matchups, which, sometimes that doesn't even matter in the NFL with good players, right?
It doesn't, yeah.
But then, you're always going to, like, just about any game they could go, oh, the slot guy's got a good matchup. Because the slot guy's always got a good matchup just about against anybody. And tonight, it's the same deal. Yeah, the out wide guys for Atlanta are pretty decent slot, pretty weak, but it's usually weak. But I'm kind of with you there, man. And by the way, Mike Evans, my Galveston native guy, we're brothers. We're beach brothers like that. We're not Eskimo brothers like Davis
and CPAT.
Yeah, we're not
quite.
But we're beach guys out there. But I love me some Mike Evans, and I love that on FanDuel because we're driven by touchdowns, and that's what we want. So does that change on DraftKings for you? Would you rather do Godwin on DraftKings PPR?
No, I think on DraftKings, the thing is you're getting like a giant discount based on how owned they're going to be. Like Mike Evans is projecting right now in lineup HQ to be like 7% in the captain. I mean, right now I'm sight unseen taking Mike Evans over 8.8K Drake London. The thing is Evans is so expensive, which ends up, the way Showdown works is like that ends up being like a pretty big edge where, especially because of Ray McLeod. So Ray McLeod is, this is the game that we play in Showdown. Ray McLeod and Sterling Shepard are the most important players of the slate. Like, if you told me right now McLeod beats his props, like if he goes 4 for 64 and Shepard gets 3 for 36, I mean, yeah, you're going to have wanted to have Bijan Robinson, Mike Evans combo lineups because that probably means they outscore the defenses. They probably outscores one of the kickers. And that just opens everything up in terms of lineup construction.
Yeah, kind of agree there. So I hope that answered your question there in chat, Austin, about those two guys. Let's see. I'm trying to gather some more questions here. I don't know if I can pull the trigger on Shepard. I'm a Giants fan. Yeah, we'll talk about Shepard in a minute, but we got some more.
I was going to say, you want to know the deal with Shepard. Do you want to know who Baker Mayfield's leading wide receiver was the year that
2015 Oklahoma?
You want to know?
36. I know exactly. I go, hey, what if I throw out the name? What is this? Does this make you nostalgic if I say D.D. Westbrook? Like,
Oh my God,
that's a blessing.
the Biletnikoff winner, bro. I'll
The-
never forget TD Westbrook. Well,
But you know who outperformed Westbrook that year? He's playing in this game tonight.
I don't.
Sterling Shepard.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. I thought there was like an Oklahoma tight end or something who was a backup on the Falcons.
You know who was the Oklahoma tight end?
It was Andrews then, right?
Mark Andrews. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Mark,
Oh,
you
man.
know who was in the back? Let me tell you about that Oklahoma team. You know who was in the
They
backfield?
were unbelievable.
The number one guy in that backfield is still playing in the NFL, and he was very good, even though he's become a different kind of player in the NFL.
Oh, Pirine.
Ryan. But you know who the number 1B was? Number 1B was?
Yes, it was 2015 was before Sermon. Oh, I don't know. No, I don't remember.
Joe Mixon. How about that talent, man? Mixon, Pirine.
I kind of forgot he was an Oklahoma guy. Well,
what?
They kicked him off the team. They kicked him off the team.
You're right. Okay. Well, that's kind of why I know who he is. He got kicked because of the way he got kicked off the team. But yeah, that's a lot of talent. But Sterling Shepard. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Shepard's that's if you're into what do they call it? The shower narrative? I think it's a Levitan.
I mean, it was pretty evident last week, I thought, that Baker still remembers how to throw to him, because they weren't even the only reason Shepard even played last week. He had to have two guys go down ahead of him. So Palmer starts the game, catches a touchdown. I believe he got concussed on the touchdown. Then Shepard led them in routes and in targets. I mean, Sterling Shepard in 2024 led a team in targets with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on it. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's that's definitely one of the salary savers we're going to talk about in a little bit. Is a question from the chat: is Cade Otton an acceptable captain tonight?
See, I think it's pretty tough because sure, you're getting like a giant discount on him. I think he's like 3% owned or something in the captain. But even if he scores twice, so even if Cade Otton scores twice, is he the captain? Isn't Baker more likely to be the captain if Cade scores twice? I probably that's maybe more of a FanDuel play where you're just trying to get the grossest possible lineup. Like all you care about is being unique. But I don't think I'm clicking that on DraftKings.
Yeah, and so there was somebody commenting in chat, and it's an intriguing question. Why is the tight end production down so much this year? You have a theory on it?
So like my theory was the opposite. You know, everyone, you know, your favorite podcasts, your favorite TV shows are talking all about the 2-eye safety and how defenses are getting smaller. My theory was that it was going to bounce back in a pretty strong way, because if defenses are getting smaller, then like a guy like Kyle Pitts, a guy like Cade Otton should have a big advantage, because, you know, you get them in screens, you get them moving. But what the ball knowers have been saying, Chop, is that what's happening is because the second safety is not really worried about the quarterback going deep anymore, that after the snap, they're playing really aggressively, and they're not safety blitzing, but they're coming up about 5 yards, and they're just getting right in the middle of the field. So like right where the tight ends would be living is where you have like 3 defenders there now, because you've got the 2 linebackers, and then you've got the safety coming up. So the middle of the field is just like the no-fly zone.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. There's all kinds of different things that make sense. It could make sense that the tight ends dominated the league for so long here that adjustments were being made in personnel and scheme for a while, and now we're just now starting to see the fruits of all that labor from defensive coordinators. I don't know, but you mentioned the name. We gotta bring him up. I think everybody in the summertime thought, "Oh, buddy, Kyle Pitts, here we go." And like, this is different. This is different than the other years. Like, this is different. It doesn't look so different right now. Like, this guy's like 5th on his team in targets. What do we make of Kyle Pitts tonight specifically? Not just in general, but tonight specifically. What do we do with Kyle Pitts?
Well, you know, it's like this is a very different game. This is a very different game we play when we're talking Showdown. It's not just about who's going to score the most points. Like, Kyle Pitts on DraftKings is priced at $5,600. I mean, that's got to be the lowest he's ever been. That is like what Luke Musgrave gets priced at in a Showdown slate. That's what Dalton Schultz gets priced at in a Texans showdown slate. I'm out on Kyle Pitts. I'm selling my Kyle Pitts stock. I wish I didn't have any of them in best ball, but there's no denying he is probably the best leverage play on the slate. I mean, even last week, he had 0-0-0, right? He still had 64% of the routes. He's still out there in about 75% of the snaps. Like, he and Cade Otton, like, Otton is expected to be owned more than him, both in the flex and in the captain. I mean, there's just no world where that makes any sense.
Chris asks, are kickers in play tonight? Seems like they are always highly rostered. What do you think about these kickers tonight?
That's every season has its narrative. We have we have tight ends on Showdown. That was 2 years ago. I don't really remember what it was last year. Maybe I think defenses was no, defense and the captain was 2 years ago. Tight end was last year. This year it's the kickers. The kickers are just like nuking these Showdown slates. I mean, the way I play is I just run a bunch of lineups and I kind of just edit the projections to get roughly what I want. Actually, a lot of times I just use SimLabs and just kind of lock the guys that I want. But I'm gonna let the Sims kind of do their thing with the kickers. My guess, I haven't ran SimLabs yet. I'm gonna guess the Sims hate the kickers because that type of stuff, that narrative flows into the Sims. And like, if these kickers are gonna be 10% owned in the captain, 8% owned in the captain, like that is brutal bad.
Yeah. I would say also, as far as kickers are concerned, how does it feel knowing because I know you're a Cowboys fan. How does it feel knowing
I was a Cowboys fan. Actually,
our best offensive player is a freaking kicker, man?
Chop, I'm gonna show you something really funny right here. TJ, make my screen large. My dad just texted this to me like half an hour ago. He was going through some old pictures. That is me as a child. My dad's wearing his Cowboys shirt. I'm wearing my Cowboys shirt. Cowboys #1. And I know it pains him. I know it pains him that I abandoned them. Greatest decision I've ever made was abandoning the Dallas Cowboys. Like my dad is texting me about like, oh, I can't believe Dak, CD. Can we trade for Adams? And I'm like, not my problem, man. Not my problem.
Listen, don't. I know damn well that's not for real and that's not permanent. You know when you're going to be back. Maybe not this year because it doesn't look good. But you know when you're going to get back on the Cowboys. You know when you're going to be back. I could tell you the very moment you're back is in the 2025 draft when we spend a mid-ish first-round pick on Ashton Genty out of Boise State.
Oh God! Oh, whatever. Wherever Ashton Genty, is it Genty or Genty? Whichever one. Wherever that guy goes, I might end up just becoming a fan. I mean, he might be my favorite football player of all time. This dude is unbelievable. On Underdog and these apps, they set his touchdown lines at 1.5, and it's like, oh, easy over.
Oh, he's like, he might be better prospect than Bijan, and that's some, and I had a lot of love for Bijan coming out, but this guy has a 190 rushing prop this week. He's like almost even money for 2+ touchdowns this week. Like, that's insane. But anyway, that's the Cowboys are going to get him next week. Next year, we're going to see it.
That's a very Jerry move. That'd be a very Jerry move.
All right, guys, fire off those questions. I'll answer them all. We got about 15 minutes left, and near the end of that, we'll fire off our. I don't know if Davis is familiar with the format, but we like to do a fill it in the plums play of the night, where we pick one guy, we feel it. You feel it, man. You feel it, and then we'll do that at the end, though. So we got about 15 minutes to it. What you got, TJ?
I do have to ask as well. When Davis was talking about the Sims, it got me interested. Could we potentially go through a little sim here, say 21? How would you build your settings, Davis, if you were doing this?
I have my screen pulled up if you want to share it, and I can just punch it in.
Perfect.
Okay. So this is how I play. Now I am in, like I said, I'm gonna have about 300 teams in. Like, I just enter in everything that's under $5 mostly. I've done the big showdown stuff. I don't have the stomach for it. I don't have the stomach for a giant losing streak. So I do I like to do the results range pretty low, and then I up the sim weight, and I put the correlation weight on 0. In Showdown, I don't want that stuff to matter at all. I want all the weight to come from the sims, and I don't mess with the projection weight or the ownership weight all that much. I'm curious what some of the highest. I'm very curious what it's going to do with the kickers, because I haven't ran this yet. I'm gonna guess it hates the kickers.
Let's find out.
Oh well, maybe I should put it on the. I put it on the Showdown slate. Here we go. You got a favorite first touchdown tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not into I hate the first touchdown thing. Like, just give me an anytime touchdown score.
They used to be fun. Chop, they used to be so fun. You used to be able to get starting tight ends at 50-1, 60-1, then they ruined it. See, this is exactly what I was kind of expecting. I think McLeod, all the projections, if you were running sims, you're just going to get a shit ton of this guy. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. Sorry, Dan. But I think these builds right here, these Buccaneers and the captain, but more Falcons in the flex, I think these are really good. I think this lineup right here, I would play this in single entry. Solo, Godwin, MVP or captain, Bijan, Cousins, Mooney, Koo, McLeod. I love fading London. I love fading Pitts in Bijan, Cousins lineups. I think those are pretty strong.
Yeah, what's the exposure on those things? Can you pull up your exposure that it gave you?
All right, so in the flex, McLeod, Mayfield, Cousins, Bijan, London. So this is interesting. It's not giving me very much Sterling Shepard at all. Is it giving me any Sterling Shepard?
Okay, so what do you do in a case like this? It's not giving you a player that you really have your eye on, and maybe even in the case it gives you too much of a guy that you're like, oh man, I know it's a sim, but I gotta adjust it. Do you adjust it or you just roll with it?
I would do two things. The first is I would have it build more lineups. So I only ran 20. So now I'm gonna have it run 150 and see if that changes it. If it doesn't change it in 150, I would set it to 50 and then I would lock the guy that I want. So in this case, it would be Shepard. I'd lock him. I'd export those, put that in my CSV, and then run the rest of them. Let's see if we get any more. Yeah, it's giving me 4%, which I'm sorry, boys, that is just wrong. There's just I know that's the way it's being projected, but I think because that discrepancy, 4% of these lineups contain Shepard.
Okay.
And 70% of McLeod.
Go back to that start page and see if it was recently updated since the inactives came out. Maybe we're getting an older.
Where do I check?
Down there.
Yeah,
pretty recent. Yeah. Okay. Well, it happens.
I mean, look, they know more about these boys know more about projecting games than I've ever forgotten. You know, Jamino and Tuttle, they're working hard. I'm not telling them they're not working hard, but I'm telling them heads up for rolls. They are wrong about Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard is getting 3 for 30 tonight. That's happening.
And that pays off here. And so in that case, you go back and you just you go to the player lock and you lock in Shepard and run whatever. If you want him in 20 lineups, 50 lineups, whatever, and you just add it you just save them all. And then you got your Sterling Shepard stuff if you want it. So
yeah, like look at that. Out. This lineup right here is awesome. 1,900 left. Bijan in the captain, Godwin with Mayfield. You could London. I don't love there without. I would actually prefer Cousins there with Bijan, McLeod, and Shepard. Projected pretty well. I mean that's just a good team.
Yeah, guys, more questions. I'm going to answer the ones in chat in just a minute before we do Splash Sports. I mean, I've been saying it every week. You got to get in. They got some more Survivor stuff revamped up there this week. Man, they're kicking off a mid-season Survivor, $250K. First place. Winner take all. That's it. Just survive, man. Survive in advance. I got the video out. I chose Seattle this week. My God, since he buried me, man. First week of the season, but good thing they got the revival. So get in that thing, do that. There's all kinds of RotoGrinders leagues too in there. You can jump in. They got picks now, quick picks, just like player props and stuff. So you want to join in on that, get in on that. About 9 minutes left. So in about 7-ish minutes, we'll do our plums play of the night. Let's talk about, I saw a question here. Are we fading defenses tonight? This has barn burner written all over it. Actually, I don't know about barn burner, but what do you think about playing the defenses in flex?
Oh, Mr. Gerg is saying the right thing. I need to up the results range, which that makes complete sense in The Sims. I love the Buccaneers defense tonight. Buccaneers defense feels like the move to me. It seems like they're going to be a little bit underowned. Falcons defense, the home defense, like the favorite defense, just always ends up like 5% more owned than the road defense. But I just, like I said at the beginning of the show, I think this line is probably just wrong. Like I think the Buccaneers, like I'm in all these pick'em contests and everything, and I've got the Buccaneers in all the picks. I mean, obviously I am a little biased towards my guy Baker, but I think the Buccaneers are like better coached. I don't know. I think they're just a better team.
Speaking of quarterbacks and Baker Mayfield, great year this year. Phenomenal stuff. I've heard some rumblings, man, that he has a new quarterback coach, that he got coached by one of the best. I don't know if TJ has the goods ready to go, but he had a quarterback coach over the summer that taught him a few things. Look at that. They want to test
me and Baker, it's true. Baker, he came to me. He knew he was losing Dave Canales. He knew that he needed to get some reps in. He was like, I need someone who knows my game. I need someone who's been there. I need someone who was smart enough. Chop, you want to talk about showdown history? Do you remember this? Baker Mayfield gets cut by the Carolina Panthers on a Monday. He signs with the Los Angeles Rams on a Tuesday. They play on Thursday night. Not Stetson Bennett. It was Baker Mayfield and I want to say Bryce Perkins. John Wolford. So Baker Mayfield and John Wolford are on the field. Again, and no one knows who's starting at quarterback. McVay won't say who's starting at quarterback. They're both taking reps. I played 100% Baker Mayfield on that slate. He ended up being in the optimal. And I do remember not shipping, but that is absolutely a moment in Showdown history. It's a beautiful game, Showdown. You never forget stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of forget it every week, man, because it happens every week. Something weird happens
every week.
What do you think? So Ty R asked a question. I guess it's more of a, alignment question for you. Do you think Godwin or Shepard play more time in the slot tonight?
Let me go back and look at their alignments from last week. I'm gonna guess that Shepard actually probably just plays outside, just based off of, because you would think that, like the chat is saying like, oh, Sterling Shepard is more of a slot guy, but actually he ended up playing a lot outside in New York because of who his teammates were.
Yeah.
His teammates were big. We're big slot guys. I'm pulling up his PFF page right now. Alignment, snaps by position. Last week Godwin played. Yeah, he played 34 of his 50 snaps outside. So there you go. Godwin's gonna be inside. Shepard's gonna be outside. I don't even know who their rotational fourth wide receiver is actually.
It's a guy from like not even a Division II college. It's like a community college guy, literally. Oh, I've never. He's a guy from Barton College. You ever heard of Barton College?
Cameron Johnson, $200, and I got him in a lineup.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, those guys are always jams. Like the $200 guy who's a fourth wide receiver who's like 1% owned. Yeah, guys, I get the idea that Sterling Shepard is not good. I mean, there's a reason.
It's the shower narrative. You got to play it, man. Listen, the numbers are Davis. These guys with their numbers and their animals, they don't understand the narratives.
They don't know ball.
This game is built on narratives. That's how you win these games. Built on narratives. Is Payne Durham in any kind of play for you tonight?
My friend Jordan Case, who literally just texted our group chat and said that Payne Durham is his favorite first touchdown bet. So I probably off him because I actually think if I was going to play a $200 guy, I'm more likely to play this guy from Barton College. He seems better. And Payne Durham actually is at a cost where a touchdown would not even guarantee him to be optimal, like one catch for 5 yards and a touchdown. We've seen this happen in Showdown before. Second or third tight ends, Quentin Morris for the Bills, Tegan Quintero for the Texans did it last year. Sometimes 6 points is not enough, which you don't want to put yourself in that spot.
Let's see here. A couple more questions here before you. Kirk or London as a FanDuel MVP?
I'm going Kirk. I'm so down on London and Pitts. Like I know London's been fine. You know, I don't mean to disparage him, but I'm pretty down on both of them.
Fair enough. Fade Bijan, is that too crazy?
I mean, Tyler Algier looked better than him last week. He did have a 20-yard screen pass touchdown.
Bijan's banged up, man. Let's not sugarcoat it. He's playing hurt. Couple
He's got
different
hamstring,
injuries,
right?
And you know that's the thing. You see a guy who only gets 11 touches or whatever in a game, and he doesn't look good. It's not because he's suddenly a bad player. These guys play with stuff all the time, and you never hear a peep about it, and that's what it brings down their performance. So there's no doubt in my mind he's playing with something. In fact, I think he popped up on the injury report earlier this week with an ankle, but who knows? But I don't know. It's a short week too. Now you got a short week, and if you are banged up, this is not these Thursday night games are absolutely.
So do you like Algier? Because this would really be a script for Algier.
Because I'm not. I know it feels like that, but in the NFL, when something feels the right way, it's usually going to slap you in the face and go the opposite way. So, Bijan's touches are down. He's banged up. He doesn't look good, and then all of a sudden, boom! He explodes. So now I'm not a big Algier guy. Let's get to some player props real quick. Do you have a favorite? Like we build. Sometimes we do a little something like. I have one for sure, but I'm going to let you go first if you have a favorite prop because I don't want to steal yours. You have a favorite prop tonight?
Yeah, Mike Evans on Underdog. I believe he's 1.35x. I think maybe 1.25x for a touchdown anytime. Rushing plus receiving touchdown. That's my Mike Evans anytime touchdown or higher touchdown on the Pick'em apps.
I actually a little while ago before the show, I got Sterling Shepard over 20.5 yards tonight. Like free. That feels good. That feels good.
That right there, that's socialism. That is the sports books and the Pick'em apps just distributing money out.
Sometimes what do they call that? What did they call that during COVID?
The stimulus
plan. They got a little stimulus plan. All right. We're at that time. We got about a minute left before the show. So now we're going to do what we do every week, which is a fill it in the plums play tonight. One guy can be any range, any position, do whatever you want. One guy that you feel just drop dead good about tonight, sticking in your lineups. Who's that guy for? Who is your fill it in the plums play of the night? Davis, the floor is yours.
It's Mike Evans. I do because the data suggests he's a good play, but it doesn't suggest he's a fill it in the plums play. But I'm going Mike Evans is the highest scoring player at the slate. 2 touchdowns, 6 receptions, 111 yards for Mike Evans against the Atlanta Falcons tonight.
I like that one. Mike Evans is a good one. Shepard we've talked about. But to me, I'm looking at DraftKings. I'm looking at the salaries. I like Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's a good player. Sterling Shepard is awesome. There's some good players out there. He's going to throw the ball to a lot of different weapons here tonight. Baker Mayfield. Guess what? Mayfield is cheaper.
Yeah.
Godwin and
Isn't that
Evans.
crazy? That's
my plums player of the night. I'm going to lock him into not just the plums player. It's my captain plums player of the night. Baker Mayfield captain. I got to play. I can't play a wide receiver over the quarterback when the quarterback has multiple targets and is a lot cheaper. So I'm going Baker Mayfield. Fill it in the plums player of the night. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll try to get the show on here a little bit earlier so you have time to adjust your rosters after we talk about our stuff here. So, again, it's been fun. It's been a blast. Davis has hung out with us. Hopefully we get some more shows with him. Squirrel will be back on Monday. This show is always on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. Until next time, good luck in those GPPs for Davis, for TJ. I'm Chop, and we're out of here.